Teardrops on my guitar. Who sings that? I don't even know. Who does Teardrops on my guitar? I don't even remember. Is it Taylor Swift? I feel like it is. And apropos, because the terrorists, they're trying to kill Taylor Swift, and I don't appreciate it. My daughter happens to like Taylor Swift. I think she's just fine. Either way, I would not like to see her and her fans die innocently in a terrorist attack. But literally, authorities foiled a terror plot against Taylor Swift earlier today in Europe, and it's just amazing, completely amazing that we still have the authorities out there and these wonderful men and women of law enforcement who are doing God's work and saving us from these pieces of trash. We'll talk about it. That's part of the day's news. Plus, the 9/11 plea deal that was pulled from those other terrorist pieces of garbage that helped plan the 9/11 terror attack. So we got the latest on that. New information on Gates and Epstein and why those two ever hooked up in the first place. If you follow this podcast for a long time, you know I've often opined and wondered why Bill Gates would ever turn to Jeffrey Epstein to begin with. And now we may have a reason why. The vice presidents, we got a race now, boy. Oh, man. Am I excited about this presidential race? These two are trading barbs back and forth, and I'm loving it. I think we're in for a heck of a 3-month run here going into the election. We've got a lawsuit with the Titan submersible, and Roseanne's got a message for the students out there, the youth and students of America. All that and more coming up on this episode. Make sure you hit that share button. Solo show. I don't know if Jay Sams is going to be joining us. I saw Aaron lurking in the comments. Perhaps one of them will hop on. If not, it's me and you, and I love it. Absolutely love doing that. Let's go over to this scary Taylor Swift story today. Taylor making her way across Europe right now. She's got that huge Eras tour that's been going on for quite some time. And as that continues to move on, she had to cancel 3 shows, part of her European leg, as police narrowly thwarted an ISIS plot to attack one of her concerts in Vienna. Vienna, of all places. I mean, Jesus, that's a gorgeous place. Don't hurt Vienna. Authorities warn that there could be some other threats. So out of precaution, they've canceled the 3 shows. Her sold-out Vienna shows slated for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were called off, according to Austrian show promoter Barracuda. The promoter announced on Instagram, quote, with confirmation from government officials of a planned terrorist attack at Ernst Happel Stadium, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety. A 19-year-old suspect living at his parents' home in Ternitz, just south of Vienna, was arrested Wednesday morning during a police raid on his house that law enforcement said was executed. A second suspect, all right, so a 19-year-old suspect living at his parents' home in Ternitz, Wednesday morning, police raided the house, arrested him. A second suspect was apprehended later on in the afternoon. A bomb squad found various chemicals and substances potentially being used to make explosives and evacuated the home. The pair were allegedly targeting Swift's concerts at Vienna's Ernst Happel Stadium, where she is scheduled to play Thursday through Saturday night to sold-out crowds. The suspect's Austrian Director General of Public Safety said, quote, the suspects were focused on the Taylor Swift concerts. We discovered that he was taking action to prepare for the attack. Clearly, a threat has been averted, he said, adding that authorities have not yet declared the concerts entirely safe, and we're still investigating other accomplices, according to local authorities. The 19-year-old suspect is believed to have pledged allegiance to the Islamic terrorist group back in July. He and another suspect are believed to have become radicalized online. Scary times, right? I mean, we're living in a post-Matthew Crooks world. Seems like sometimes crazy invites other crazy, right? You get one crazy to try something, and then suddenly it gives a bit of bravado to the other crazies out there. So thank goodness that we've got good police authorities out there that are working hard to stop things like this. I mean, could you imagine bombs and chemicals and all the stuff that they pulled out of this house? No terrorist attack is good, obviously. Duh. But I feel like a Taylor Swift, I mean, could you imagine the devastation on that? All those young ladies that are there just gathered around to see a show like hers. I mean, that would be devastating. I understand, right? I mean, when you look at the World Trade and all that, these people are trying to just, yeah, thank you, Lindarella, be pure evil, right? Pure evil. What's more evil than taking down a joyous occasion like a Taylor Swift concert? I mean, I can't imagine. I absolutely can't imagine. I mean, the worst thing that happened at a Taylor Swift concert would be a couple broken nails. Like what, somebody trips and falls, gets a little excited, dances, misses a step, they go down. I mean, these are the biggest threats to a Taylor Swift show. Perhaps if you have some people that are older drinking too much, they show up in the same Taylor Swift outfit, they get a little upset. Maybe one of them says something nasty to the other, perhaps gives a dirty look. These are the biggest threats we have in the world right now of Taylor Swift. To introduce terrorism into that is just downright terrifying. So I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but I'm just grateful to law enforcement and all the work that they're still doing. And that's what's crazy too about this day and age. Like, it's not even, yes, it's ISIS, but it's not even ISIS. It's like followers of ISIS. It's like people that are don't even have anything to do with ISIS, just being radicalized by ISIS bullshit online and thinking that they can go and make a name for themselves or, something like that. It's absolutely crazy. Paul says, remember the Vegas concert shooter? I do remember the Vegas concert shooter. That was another weird, bizarre set of circumstances. That's just craziness. Was that an ISIS thing? No, I don't remember that being like an international terrorist thing. I don't even remember what happened with that whole, like, where did that investigation go? I don't even remember. I feel like it was just, did they ever find out a reason why that guy did all of that stuff? Was he just a psychopath? Was it terror related? I honestly have no idea or recollection. I just remember that's the reason now why everybody searches hotel rooms now. You can no longer just go stay in a hotel room and put that do not disturb on your room every day. Like, they have to go in and do safety checks on the rooms, which thankfully, I mean, if there's one thing that came out of that whole thing, it's that. Because that guy was just bringing in a friggin' arsenal every day, basically. And nobody could have stopped him. Nobody could have realized, And now we have those safety checks. Like, I know that's a big thing in like Disney World and some other places. Yeah, right. And just a psychopath, right? No motive. Yeah, that was crazy scary. I remember that. I was on the air here in New York when that happened. Just nuts, just completely nuts. But I read this headline just moments before we jumped on the air here, and I was terrified because it's like, I mean, there's not many places of just utter pure joy in the world, right? I mean, you could literally name them on one hand: Disney World, playgrounds, Taylor Swift concerts. Like, can we just keep these things sacred and not fuck around with them? But these terrorist pieces of shit, and again, like I said, it's not even the terrorists. It's these fucking assholes that are following the terrorists, So 3 shows for now. Who knows if there's more? I love the move from authorities. Cancel it. You got 2 people. You don't know if you got them all. Who knows what kind of chatter there is online, if this is an ongoing thing, if somebody's planning to do something else at another one of her shows, could it be happening to another artist somewhere else? You do have to kind of take pause there and take some precautions. So solid move from our authorities. Thank God for the police, the FBI, international police agencies. Grateful for all of them. Hopefully Taylor can get back there and get back on track. Listen, she's got to earn that money. Now she's got a dependent. Now she's got that Travis Kelce out there spending her cash. So she's got to get out there and work. There's no longer taking breaks. I don't know if you know this, but that Travis Kelce is a dependent, and that piece of shit brother of his got a bit of a drinking problem. Yes. Are you going to save money on shirts with Travis Kelce's brother? You are. He seems to like to take them off quite often. But that guy, I couldn't even imagine what a bar tab of his would be. That would be, thousands of dollars. And now that falls on Taylor. I know they have, football money, but let's be honest. Taylor's picking up those tabs now. Taylor's picking up checks. So she's got to get out there and she's got to make that money, baby. No more summers off for Taylor Swift. I'll tell you what. I can't believe we got back-to-back terrorist news, but this is a good news. We talked about this last week on the podcast, but that disgusting plea deal that was offered to the 3 terrorists that are awaiting trial down in Guantanamo Bay for the 9/11 attacks, and for whatever ungodly reason, we had the commission who was prosecuting this case went ahead and offered them a plea deal. And Lloyd Austin, who is our defense secretary, went ahead and revoked those deals. Now the lawyers for those terrorists are alleging that the government is corrupt. Walter Ruiz, a lawyer for Mustafa Ahmed Adam al-Hassawi, said during a hearing today, we have had an unprecedented act by a government official to pull back what was a valid agreement. For us, it raises very serious questions about continuing to engage in a system that seems so obviously corrupt and rigged. This Walter Ruiz has some balls. I feel like if we're even going to give Walter Ruiz the benefit of the doubt and saying that this is indeed an unprecedented act by a government official, it's in reaction to an unprecedented act by a group of animals and what they did on 9/11. You have no ground to stand on. You have nothing. I love the move from Walter Ruiz, but what are you hoping for here? Sympathy from the American people? You can go fuck yourself. Like I said, I think we should be proud of the land that we live in and our justice system and our sets of values and freedoms. And innocent until proven guilty, absolutely 1,000,000,000%. But in this particular case, I don't know what leg you have to fucking stand on. It seems crazy to me. Secretary Austin scrapped plea deals last week that were extended to Hassawi, Mubarak, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed by the Office of Military Commissions, which is prosecuting the case. The pretrial agreement sparked a furor among family members of 9/11 victims and survivors of the attacks, with many slamming the deals as a miscarriage of justice and arguing that the 3 alleged 9/11 co-conspirators should face trial and be subject to the death penalty if found guilty. We talked about it on the podcast. Most of the comments that we got last week were maybe the families just couldn't bear to stand a trial and they wanted to get it settled already. That was just about the only answer I could plausibly believe if that was the case. But when you go and you see the reaction of most of the families of victims of 9/11, they were all on board to see this thing all the way through. Like I said, this is just my suggestion. This is one little old podcast host. If I can extend an idea, if we're at the think table, if we have nachos for the table and we're just talking, throwing ideas around, I say you hang these pieces of shit from the torch of the Statue of Liberty on the 4th of July so we could watch the fucking glow of fireworks off their faces as they hang half dead in Manhattan Harbor. That's just that's just an idea. I'm not saying we have to do it. I'm just saying you come up with a better one. You come up with a better one. And don't give me that, we should do it off of Mount Rushmore bullshit. Okay, you want to change the venue? Fine. I'm just saying, that's my idea. And that's a pretty damn good one. I would love to see these guys hanging from the Statue of Liberty on 4th of July amongst the fireworks. Will says, do it on Independence Day. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, my man. On Independence Day. Just dangling. Dangling. And I know what you're thinking. Just to hang them would be harsh. I would slowly lower them down. You don't want to snap the neck. You want there to be as much panic and pain as possible. You know what I'm saying? That is, by the way, after we wheel them through Manhattan and let everybody spit on them on the way to the fucking boat that takes them over to the fucking Statue of Liberty. That's just my idea. Again, just spitballing. I haven't spent too much time on this one. We're just throwing ideas around. The defense secretary defended revoking the plea deals yesterday, telling reporters that he did not take the decision lightly, saying, quote, "There's not a day that goes by when I don't think of 9/11 and the Americans that were murdered that day. Also, those who died trying to save lives and the troops and their families who gave so much for this country in the years following that. I'm deeply mindful of my duty to all those who served, were lost, to all those lives, who were lost or changed forever on 9/11. And I fully understand that no measure of justice can ever make up for their loss. So this wasn't a decision that I took lightly, but I have long believed that the families of the victims, our service members, and the American public deserve the opportunity to see military commission trials carried out on this case." Wednesday's hearing, which was scheduled before plea deals were announced and then later withdrawn, Ruiz argued that the agreements were years in the making and made in good faith, only to have that taken away. That's the other strange part. I'm not entirely sure and haven't really seen a good answer or explanation as to why these men have been held for almost 20 years, just shy of 20 years, and how we haven't gotten a trial together. I mean, I know these things take some time, but I mean, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, extraordinary circumstances. I could understand that. Let's get this thing going in front of a judge, Fram, says Christella. Nice call back to my cousin Vinny. I love that. Fram. We need to get that on the old soundboard over here. We got a lot of my cousin Vinny.
It's called disclosure, you dickhead.
We don't have Fryam, though. I would love to have that. Over to another long-standing question, which we've gotten a bit of an answer to on this podcast. We've talked about this ad nauseum. If you haven't seen our Jeffrey Epstein coverage, we have whole entire playlists on our YouTube channel. I mean, it's on our Facebook and Spotify and everywhere else, but I feel like YouTube is the easiest to navigate. You just go to our YouTube page, which you can find the link from on anthonyonair.com, and you can go to our playlist, and there's a whole playlist. Every time Epstein was discussed on this podcast, boom, it's in that playlist. So you can go back and see everything. And please do so, especially before you comment and tell me something. We've probably covered it. I appreciate it. That's not a don't tell me shit. Keep telling me shit. But before you throw one of those, do some research, Ant. Did you know, blah, blah, blah. Go take a look at the playlist, because I'm sure we've covered it. I can't possibly recount and set the table with every single Epstein fact before we talk about him again. Every single time we talk about him, we'll never finish a show. But when we were talking about Epstein and the connection with Gates and everything, we did a lot of that, by the way, during the time that Melinda left him, because that was a big part of her divorcing Bill Gates. We were discussing it, and I, for the life of me, couldn't figure out why Bill Gates would go to Epstein in the first place. I mean, there has to be some sort of natural, organic reasoning behind it. Like, if his intentions were to get with young girls, okay, but that's not something that you could tell people publicly. Like, that question is going to come out. So there has to be a quote unquote public reason for that. God bless your heart. Look at Bird right over here. An endless AOA episode. I'm here for it. I just love you, Bird. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Debbie wants to know if there's a link for the Discord. There is in the description. Can you guys let me know if that link is still working, by the way? Somebody said to me it's not working properly, but I thought we fixed it. If it's not, just let me know. And usually Miss Justice or Robin, everybody's so quick with links. So Debbie, somebody will help you out here. One of our incredible moderators will definitely help you. If not, one of our other great AOA holes. Appreciate you guys so much. If I don't say that enough, shame on me. Where was I? Bill Gates. So we were just wondering what was the public reasoning why. And I couldn't, with Epstein, it was usually always money. It was usually people were investing money. He was investing money for them. He was helping them with something. If he was grooming a young girl or abusing somebody, there was a promise or hope of money, an opportunity, something of that nature. There was always like a hook. There was always I understand how Epstein got him. You know what I'm saying? With Gates, it never added up to me because Gates had more money than Epstein. I mean, even if he didn't have more money, they both had money. So money was never a reason, and every time they try and ask Bill Gates this, by the way, Bill Gates is the worst when it comes to doing interviews. Like his PR team is epic. Like I've dealt with some shitty PR teams in my day. I've had interviews stopped abruptly mid-interview because a PR team was shitty. But I've never seen anything like what these people go through just to talk to Bill Gates. Like they have to get every question cleared. They don't like if things go awry. He rarely does a live interview so that he can't be embarrassed. It's a very, very tough gig to interview Bill Gates, to get Bill Gates on. He makes people like swear up and down and promise. I don't know if he gets journalists to fucking sign shit, but I wouldn't be surprised. He only comes on to talk about a topic, and then if you start to stray from that topic, they pull the plug. His team is crazy. They are crazy. So he was asked this a whole bunch, but never was able to really give an answer. And I think he did like a PBS interview or something where he kind of gave his half-ass PR answer, and it wasn't really good enough. But now there's a new book that's coming out, and the book was written by Anuprita Das. I hope I'm saying that right. Anupreeta Das. DAS. She's got a new book called Billionaire Nerd Savior King, Bill Gates and His Quest to Shape Our World, which comes out on August 13th, so just less than a week away. And in this book, she writes about the fact that Bill Gates was desperate for one thing that his money couldn't buy, and that was a Nobel Peace Prize. That Bill Gates was desperate to seem like a philanthropist, like a god, if you will, or whatever it was. And Das writes that to boost his candidacy for the big prize, some of his handlers launched publicity campaigns when the world was nearing a public health milestone that the Gates Foundation was involved with. More than 24 staffers at his company, Gates Ventures, were working constantly to shape, monitor, and polish Gates' aura in the press and fashion a positive aspect into a consistent, relatable brand, according to this book. His team said that they were always trying to counter his long image of being an awkward and sometimes robotic and unable to connect with audience type of a person. She writes that Epstein began to tunnel his way into Gates' orbit as early as 2010 when Gates and fellow billionaire Warren Buffett launched the Giving Pledge. That was the campaign in which they vowed to donate 99% of their wealth. Do you remember that? 2010, 14 years ago. 14 years ago. Those two men pledged to donate 99% of their wealth. They're wealthier now than they have ever been. They still have all their friggin' money. I know they give away a lot of money, but they still have a lot more of it. 14 years ago, they had a little press conference and patted each other on the back saying, we're going to give all our money away. And they haven't done shit. They haven't done shit. Okay. I know there's probably some wonderful ceremonies out there. I know there's probably some wonderful organizations that are getting money from those two people and they're helping them. And that makes me so happy. But they pledged to give away all their money and they've not come anywhere near close to that. Gates called Epstein my buddy once as they worked on a donor-advised fund through JP Morgan that would give wealthy members anonymity in how the money was directed. Epstein, who pled guilty in 2008 to prostitution and procuring underage girls, apparently hoped to whitewash his own image and knew how to get Gates's attention. He told the Gates Foundation employees he could help the billionaire win a Nobel Peace Prize for working to eradicate polio. In 2013, Epstein, Gates, and Terje Rod Larsen, an influential Norwegian diplomat who helped negotiate the Oslo Accords, flew to Strasbourg, France to meet with Thorbjørn Jagland, then the chair of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee. Despite this, no Nobel was forthcoming, and Larsen, who ran the International Peace Institute in New York, was forced to quit his role in 2020 after it was reported that he had taken money from Epstein to support his work. Emails reviewed in an inquiry conducted by MIT over the school's ties to Epstein detailed references to Gates visiting Epstein's residences and Epstein arranging for Big Macs, which one of the people said referred to Epstein's interest in young women and also the food he was sometimes known to serve. Gates has denied most of the accusations in Doss's book. We have to mention that. In a statement to the New York Post, Gates said that the book includes highly sensationalized allegations and outright falsehoods that ignore the actual documented facts our office provided to the author on numerous occasions. A rep for Gates told the Daily Mail recently, Mr. Gates has previously stated his deep regret over meeting with Epstein, who he met with for discussions regarding philanthropy only. How about that? But we know that this is why the wife left him. It was because of their relationship together. So, I mean, there's always a price, right? There's always something. It wasn't money. It was the Nobel Peace Prize. And I guess Gates knew, Epstein knew a dude who knew a dude, and they had a meeting at one point. Who knows what was promised or what was, what they tried to figure out or get done. But it never got done, thankfully. So it's always something. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, it's still a bit fishy to me because I have to think that Bill Gates could get a meeting with anybody. I understand that that's the reason why we can publicly say this happened, but it's fucking Bill Gates. I'm sure if Bill Gates wanted a meeting with the Nobel Peace Prize people, he could get it on his own. Wouldn't you think? I would think if Bill Gates picked up the phone and was like, I'd like to come down and meet with you guys, they're not going to say no. So anyway, at least we got somewhat of an answer to that one. That's true. Epstein is like J. Sabs. Always knows the guy. Always knows the guy. Also very shady. I'm not saying J. Sabs is doing what Epstein did, but there's a lot that J. Sabs does that I just don't know. I'm not around for. Proof right there. It's a little proof. Well, this is a fun story. The vice president. Oh my goodness. I have to tell you, and maybe it's because Kamala Harris has been around for a while. Maybe it's because there's plenty of Trump fatigue to go around. These two young whippersnappers, J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because the others have been around for a while. I'm excited for these two. I'm excited to see what they're going to churn up together. And so far, they have not disappointed. The two of them have been a big old breath of fresh air on the scene of this thing that we call the 2024 election. Because these guys, they're J.D. Vance a little more than Tim Walz, who just got into the race a day ago. But these guys are new on the scene, and they are making some noise. They are tearing it up. They're taking shots at each other. They're doing pretty good. I'm very excited for the vice presidents. I have to tell you, am I excited about a presidential debate? I am. I really do want to see Kamala and Donald mix it up. I think it would be interesting. But I would be remiss if I didn't say I was equally, if not almost equally excited for a vice presidential debate. And I can't remember the last time I thought that. I thought that with Kamala and Pence because I thought this is an odd combination, these two. This would be a little strange. Let's see what happens. But it wasn't that thrilling. These two would be crazy interesting. Nobody's tuning away from that. I mean, I'd love to get Joe Rogan in the corner calling the fucking thing, have one of those, what's his name? Logan, the fucking Prime guy, get him in there, fucking do some promos. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now we're talking, you could run, this is the first vice presidential race that you could run as an undercard to UFC. And it would be perfectly fine. It wouldn't be out of place whatsoever. No, not at all. It would be fantastic. Everybody would love it. It would absolutely love it. Going to share some clips with you guys from these two because I think they're burning it up right now. They're doing really, really well. This was J.D. Vance earlier today. He lands in Wisconsin for an event. And as it turns out, the vice president's plane is there. So he walks over and goes, I wanted to get a look at the vice president's plane because I want to be on it one day. And then he drops a little bit of a bomb, too. Good for J.D. Vance. This is what he had to say from earlier this afternoon.
I know you're covering the vice president here. I figured I'd come by and, just get a good look at the plane because hopefully it's going to be my plane in a few months. But I also thought you guys might get lonely because the vice president doesn't answer questions from reporters and hasn't for 17 days. Have they given you guys an explanation for why she won't take questions from reporters? No? Nobody? Okay, great. Well, I hope that she changes her mind because it'd be good for the American people, and I think it'd be good for you all if she actually ran a real campaign instead of one from a basement with a teleprompter. So have a good one, guys. See ya.
Burn. Sick burn. Sick burn. Thank you to Fox 9 for the clip. Sick burn. I'm talking to you now as an independent person here. I don't give a shit who you vote for. I really don't care. I'm not here to change your mind. I don't believe you can change anybody's mind. But let's be honest. It's a good line. I'm over here to talk to you people because President or Vice President Kamala Harris hasn't answered a question in 17 days. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I don't think I've seen her. I've seen her at rallies. I don't know if I've seen her in front of the press. It seems about right. If it's not 17 days, it's probably close. I really don't know. I don't know if she's jumping out and taking questions. It seems like something that the Republicans are jumping on, and it seems like they do have a talking point here. That they don't really know what she stands for. It's kind of hard to tell. She hasn't been in front of a press room and been open to taking questions. I believe she will. I believe she's training for it. I hope she is, because she's going to have to do it at some point. But I think that she hasn't done it as of yet. I mean, listen, if I'm on Kamala Harris's team, I'm holding her back too, because she's just got so much momentum from not saying anything. By saying things, you can only screw it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the time to break out her, her press briefing just yet. So it's a good little jab from J.D. Vance towards her to call her out on the fact that she hasn't really done a lot of press. Hasn't done a lot of pre-planned press. And it's also a good critique because, as we found out, the last couple of press gigs that Biden was doing, they were helping him out with the questions and shaving off answers that they didn't like and all that kind of jazz too. So it is Democrats, I know you don't love to hear this, but it's the truth. You're getting a little dose of truth right now. It is a valid critique of your party's candidate. It's a valid critique. Since we spoke last podcast, we did not know who the vice presidential pick would be for Vice President Harris. I was rooting for Josh Shapiro. I felt as if the Democrats needed to win Pennsylvania in order to win this election. If they wanted to win, you got to pick Josh Shapiro. He's the governor of Pennsylvania. He's very, very popular. They were announcing the pick in Philadelphia, in the state of Pennsylvania, for the love of God. And I didn't think that they would be picking somebody other than Josh Shapiro. And then, of course, they picked Tim Walz. Yesterday morning, I tweeted out, I can't believe Kamala Harris blew this. Today, I'm here in front of you apologizing for that comment, because in 24 hours, this Tim Walz has shown why he's the pick. This guy has been stunning in the first 24 hours. I've not seen a candidate come out of a rocket like this, since Sarah Palin, because she was the belle of the ball when she got announced. It was unbelievable. Everybody loved her. And then she started talking, and then it all went downhill from there. Tim Walz has gone from who the hell is that to, oh shit, this guy is good in 24 hours. And I feel like most open-minded people, again, Republicans, you guys, here's your turn. You're not going to like this part. Most open-minded people that are looking at this election from I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Let me check in with these people and see what they're saying. I think I've been pretty darn impressed with Tim Walz in his first speech since being named Kamala Harris's running mate. He's been impressive, and kudos to Kamala Harris's team for putting out TikToks and other information that has really shown why this guy is worthy of being picked. And let me go over here to the audience for this wonderful question. And this is a good question coming from an audience member here. J Saps. Why is that? I'll tell you why this is a good pick. And again, 24 hours ago, I said she blew this. I said, how could she blow this? Two reasons. When Kamala Harris was picked, and we're talking like a day into it after Joe Biden was out, and it was like, who is she going to get to be her running mate? Donald Trump was dominating this election, right? He was blowing Joe Biden out of the water. When we were looking at the electoral map on that day, it was, she needs Pennsylvania to survive. There's no other path. Donald Trump has lost so much ground that Kamala Harris has gained, that when you look at the electoral map now, and again, this is still way early. Like, we still need more polling. We've just gotten JD Vance into the mix. That polling hasn't even settled itself down yet. Now you've got Tim Walz. So it's going to be until late August until we can finally see where we're at. But in early looking at this, and the momentum that Kamala has coming out of Joe Biden pulling out, it doesn't appear that she needs Pennsylvania anymore. And the campaigns are going to be looking at this harder than any media scrutiny is going to be looking at it, right? So there's polling, and then there's internal polling, right? So the campaigns are doing their own polling. And I have to assume, unless they're a big pile of idiots, that Kamala's team and their polling finds that Tim Walz is actually more important than Josh Shapiro, because maybe they still get Pennsylvania with Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro rooting them on. And maybe they don't need it at all. When you look at Wisconsin and Nevada and some of these other states, some of these states, these battleground states where Donald Trump was dominating, it's now virtually tied. And in one or two of them, she's actually leading. So the importance of Pennsylvania, although I still maintain it's important, it didn't lynch on Josh Shapiro being picked. The second reason is, with Tim Walz, you essentially have a conservative who's a Democrat, right? When you look at Tim Walz and you look at this guy, old, balding, white guy, right? got a couple of bucks in the bank. He was a high school teacher, coached high school football. The guy is a gun-toting hunter, loves to hunt, Second Amendment. He's a Midwest guy, right? There's clips going around already. If you haven't seen, he's poking fun at his daughter for being a vegan. You look at this guy on paper, you think this guy's a conservative. It's got to be a conservative. Midwest, again, old white hair, gun owner, hunter, all this stuff, all the qualities that the conservatives love. But he's a Democrat. He believes in unions. He believes in transgender rights, right? I mean, he checks all the boxes off. He's been accused of being a little bit too progressive for some of the Democratic Party at times. And I think what the Harris ticket is hoping for is something that I've said numerous times. I mean, who is it? Aaron Sorkin, who wrote The West Wing and a bunch of other great shows and films. He said, wouldn't it be great if Mitt Romney joined the Democratic ticket to pull the Republican Party away from Donald Trump again? You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I said, this fucking Chris Christie hates this Trump so much. Wouldn't it be great to get a Chris Christie involved in the Democratic Party? You know, with him being a New Jersey governor and all. This idea of, can you pull those middle votes? Can you pull those Republicans who hate Trump? Can you pull those undecideds? Can you get those people who thought they were going to vote for RFK back into the Democratic Party? Can you do that? And who can deliver that to you? Maybe it's not the Jewish governor from Pennsylvania. Maybe it is the Midwest. This guy looks like a conservative governor from Minnesota. And I think that's what they're thinking. Fucking Paul. Stereotypes from an East Coast elite. Fair. I mean, nobody's ever confused my bank account with an elite bank account, but fair. But it's the truth. I mean, when you look at this, you look at Tim Walz on paper, he looks like he's a conservative, and he's not. You know, he's not. And by the way, this guy can fucking talk. He went up and did an 18-minute speech to accept the proposal to be the running mate, whatever you want to call it. It's not a nomination yet. And this guy fucking ripped through 18 minutes wonderfully. Now, I'm not saying he could be a great vice president or president one day. If you hate Democrats, just listen to what I'm saying. Great orators do really well in elections. And this guy can fucking gab. He can yap. It's why Trump has done so well. The guy can fucking talk. He connects with people on a level. End of the day, policies, records, all this shit. Usually people vote for who they want to go get a beer with. And Timmy Walz seems like somebody that a lot of Americans would want to go get a beer with. So I went from going, boy, Kamala fucking blew it and not picking the Pennsylvania guy, to 24 hours later thinking to myself, maybe she actually did make the right move. Maybe this is better. Because instead of just holding on all hope to get that one fucking state to get you to 270, I think that she thinks, or her team thinks, this whole fucking thing is open now. And we might be able to really make a run of this. And by the way, I think most level-headed Republicans will agree. She's not wrong. That team is not wrong. We have a fight. We have a fight. I mean, before it was a blowout. It was an absolute blowout. Now we've got something to pay attention to. This election is going to be interesting, and it's going to be exciting. And Tim Walz is part of the reason why. So JD Vance comes in with that little quip of, hey, I came over to, goes over to the vice president's press gaggle and says, I'm just here to keep you guys company. I mean, that's a ballsy, you got to love that. In the spirit of competition, because they all have press, right? The people that are following Harris are going to follow Harris for the rest of the election. The people that are following Vance, That's their assignment as the media. That's their assignment. They're going to follow Vance all the way. For him to leave his press and walk over to her press and drop some bombs, fuck, that's good. Come on, man. That's America right there. That's a fucking fight that you want to see. Who doesn't love that? So credit JD Vance for that. That was his little jab today that I got to give him some credit for. We rewind to last night.
$10 can help fund powerful ads.
Sorry. Didn't mean to throw an ad for Kamala here, but I wanted to play this clip for you guys of Tim Walz speaking last night after Kamala Harris announced that he would be the guy, and he dropped this little bomb. Let me find it for you here. About 14 and a half in. He dropped this little bomb for JD Vance that I'm sure most of you have seen already. It was...
And then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on. That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
Big applause break after I can't wait to debate the guy. Big. Look at him standing in there, just loving it.
That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did?
Thanks again to Fox 9 for the clip on YouTube. Appreciate that. That's it. That is if he's willing to get off the couch. Because JD Vance fucked the couch. I don't know if you guys know that, but he did. He fucked the couch. He wrote it in a book. He took it out of the second edition, but it was in the first edition. It's there. It exists. That is by the way, look at Kamala Harris's face. I mean, that's a hell of a barb. Hell of a barb. Hell of a shot. I don't even know if she's all that comfortable with it. Look at her face. Look at that face. I'm not entirely sure she loves that. But it was a hell of a shot coming out of the gate. The guy's fucking acceptance speech practically, and he's already, throwing barbs back. Come on. You're not excited about this? This is going to be great. This is going to be a battle. Let them fight it out. I mean, this isn't petty bickering. These are shots. These are new kids on the block showing mommy and daddy who just picked them up from school what they can do out on the playground. I'm here to fight. Watch me, baby. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see their debate. I want to know what they could bring to the table. I think JD Vance is a young up-and-comer in the Republican Party. We've talked about him as a pick. It's an interesting pick. I don't know if Trump loves it. Trump has been downplaying it. If it's not Trump, he downplays everything. So it's kind of hard to tell. And we've only had Tim Walz for just over 24 hours now. So again, it's early on in the process. But Tim Walz went from who's that? Oh, the guy who came up with the weird bit to all of a sudden, this guy he can talk. He can fight. And he's done some pretty interesting things as governor of Minnesota. By the way, and not to pop or burst anybody's bubble, but the guy's got a DWI in his past too. He got a little bit of a drunk driving thing. Doing 90 in a 65, got pulled over when he was like 31. But much like JD Vance, he did serve our country. And there's a lot more about him that you can learn. If you'd like to learn, head on over to anthonyonair.com. We put a blog up, a blogaruski, as we call it. Who is Tim Walz? What does he stand for? And how does he match up against JD Vance? So you can go ahead and read that blog right now on the anthonyonair.com website, and go ahead and share that around if everybody needs to know a little bit more about Tim Walz and what we're up against. So not only do I hope we get a presidential debate, but man, I hope we get a friggin' VP debate as well. I think that would be pretty amazing. Credit to, I believe Miss Justice gave me this story today. The Titan submersible lawsuit finally coming around. Lawyers for one of the family members that were lost in the Titan submersible, filing a $50 million lawsuit today in court. $50 million in a wrongful death lawsuit. This was Paul Henry Nargolet, the 77-year-old, one of 5 people aboard the Titan submersible, which disappeared in the North Atlantic in June of 2023. Could you believe that was last year already? That still feels like it happened like 3 weeks ago to me. But yeah, they are seeking $50 million in this lawsuit because they're basically saying that the vessel was doomed and had a troubled history, that OceanGate kept that information from the people that were, buying tickets on this thing, and that they're fully responsible. Neglect. The lawsuit alleges that even though Nargolet had been designated by OceanGate to be a member of the crew of the vessel, many of the particulars about the vessel's flaws and shortcomings were not disclosed and were purposely concealed, lawyers said in a statement. Nargolet, affectionately dubbed Mr. Titanic, had taken more than 36 trips to the liner's wreck before boarding the ill-fated OceanGate submersible. So, again, that was a big tragic thing that happened. I remember going through that with you guys on the podcast. We were tracking it every day, seeing if they could find it, listening to sounds and ocean things and all that stuff. It was pretty tough. It was an unbelievable thing. Fucking look at Lindarella's just dropping lines. In couch we believe. So it had to be a secret love seat. Talking about JD Vance's couch. Just tearing up the fucking audience over here. I feel like I need to take a break and let Lindarella take over for a couple of minutes. She's dropping lines and getting laughs. I'm just in the way right now. So I hope those people win. I don't know where they're going to get this money from, if it's coming from OceanGate or the insurance company or where that's going to come from. A spokesperson for OceanGate declined to comment on the suit today, though. The incident obviously killed the CEO and founder, Stockton Rush. He died in it too. So I'm not sure what exactly is left of that company. I think they were charging about like $250,000 for a chair on the thing. So I don't know what's left with them, but they got that lawsuit out there, and hopefully they get their money from somebody or somewhere. And last hat tip of the podcast to Paul for sharing this little gem from the late, great Roseanne. We've had 2 Roseanne appearances on this show in 2 subsequent podcasts, which is pretty unbelievable because we haven't really heard from Roseanne in a while. But we've got two episodes now in a row where we're discussing Roseanne Barr. And she was at Mar-a-Lago for a fundraiser for Carrie Lake. And she had this message, totally sober, I believe. She had this message to share with everybody.
Hey, old bro, how are you doing? I'm here at Mar-a-Lago supporting Carrie Lake, and it was a fantastic evening, and our Trump is here being the DJ, and I've just danced, and everyone's amazed. So I'm just going to say to you, please drop out of college because it's going to ruin your lives. Do me a favor, drop out. They don't teach you nothing good. Email me or Twitter me or whatever you call me, and I'll help you with your life, but you got to get out of college because it isn't nothing but devil-worshipping, baby blood-drinking Democrat donors. Love ya. Hey, oh.
I mean, what's not to love? I'll tell you what I love about Roseanne. For those of you who don't have an alcoholic aunt, now you do. You know what I'm saying? If you unfortunately grew up in a family where your aunt wasn't a complete alcoholic, now you kind of know what it feels like. She's America's drunken aunt. Roseanne has a new title, America's alcoholic auntie. She's just in there just like, let me tell you something, okay? I'm dancing, they're picking music, but you got to drop out of college. Just that whole left turn. That what is drunken a drunken Auntie Rosie have to say to us? And she starts at one thing, and then all of a sudden she's over here. She's like a UFO in the sky. You think you got it, and then all of a sudden that fucker just, I'm here, I'm dancing. Nobody thought I could. Get out of school before they drink your blood. And you're just like, what? What happened? Take my advice. Email me or Twitter me, whatever you call me. What? What are you saying? Twitter you? Fuck are you talking about, Roseanne? You crazy old drunken bastard. Fucking just Twitter me. I'll tell you all about it. Like, what pills did you take with that glass of wine? Here's what I love about this. And this is how I know there's true alcoholics. How I know true alcoholics. She went, fill up my glass before we do this video. Because she's probably 7 or 8 white wines in. God knows what other ambient pills she's got fucking, she's taken. And she's just like, fill up my glass so people don't think that I'm drunk. That's a drunk move. That's a drunk. Real drunks don't go on video with a half, with a glass half empty. They want that thing filled up, being like, look at me, I'm just having a cocktail. I don't want to come off as suspicious, like I've been drinking too much. But Twitter me, email me, or whatever you call me. She went from ways to contact her to what you would call her, which is the best part of the whole thing. Email me, Twitter me, or whatever you call me. What? You're not even close to coherent. I feel like she's 2 sips away from fighting herself in a mirror. You ever see that guy in the video? The guy who's like talking shit to the other dude. Turns out it's just a mirror. It's him. He's fighting himself. I mean, I feel like Roseanne is basically there. And by the way, I am sorry. Don't want this to turn into an anti-Trump thing. Mostly because I don't want to take Frank's gimmick from him. You know what I'm saying? He's the anti-Trump guy. I got my own material. I don't need his stuff. What is with that photo of the painting of Trump in the background? I swear to God, I thought those things were jokes. I had no idea that real versions of these photos existed. By the way, in case you're curious, I had a drunk aunt, and she had a lot of paintings like this in her house. It wasn't of Trump, but it was of herself. That sort of like mysterious sky painting, that whole. I remember, I can't say the name of my aunt. She lived in Florida though. And this is some real Italian shit because she wasn't technically my aunt, right? She wasn't my father or mother's sister. But I had an aunt who had a photo just like this, just like that photo painted. And I was like 7 or 8 years old, 9, 10 years old, maybe. I'm 10 years old. And the painting is of her husband, her son, maybe a dog or something. And they're all standing there, and it's a beautiful painting. And I remember thinking to myself, you're not that rich. Why do you have a painting of yourself in this house? Like, she commissioned an artist, and she said, paint my family. Now, if you have a painting of your family in your home, okay, it's fine. But if you live to drink and you have a painting of your family in your home, I don't know. I can't help but think that money could have went to AA, could have went to a sponsor, could have went to those late night coffees that people with alcoholism have, just after the meetings and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like, we're gonna get a fucking painting tomorrow. Tomorrow when we get up at 11:30, we're gonna get a fucking painting. It's gonna be great. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was like, I'm sure there's somebody who right now is listening to this or watching, and they have a beautiful portrait of their family that was painted on the wall that was pure and lovely. I'm sure it's great. Maybe it was somebody's dream to always have their family captured via brushstroke. I don't know. I'm not like that. I don't think that way. But if that's your thing, great. But if you're a crazy drunkard and you're just like, we're gonna get a fucking painting tomorrow, and we're gonna find the biggest, goldest fucking frame we could put it in, and we're gonna fucking hang it right there so we can look at it every day. I mean, I just don't even know. If my wife to me came to me and said, we got to get a painting, I would be like, absolutely not. I can barely look at this in the mirror every fucking day. You want me to pay somebody to reproduce it so I got to look at it as I walk by my living room? It's not going to fucking happen. Why do I want to see more of this? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason. It's one thing to put a photo of yourself up. That's bad enough. Now you want to find a more expensive way to display your fucking stupid face? I don't get it. I don't understand how people think and what they spend their money on. You know? Mark says, guess I need to take down that Dave Matthews Band picture down. Crazy it's in the same frame. No, if you have put a picture of Dave up, Dave, Jesus Christ, you know, these are acceptable things to put up on a wall. So I'm fine with all of it. A saint, if you will, that's fine. Sure. Maybe you got Bowling Ball Mary up there. You ever see Mary? She's holding the whole world like a bowling ball. It's very popular in Howard Beach where I grew up. Very, very popular. A lot of people had Half Moon, Shell, bowling ball carrying Mary holding the world. That was a big deal. You know, you got to put a picture of your dog up. Fine. You know, it just seems crazy to be like, we're going to get a painting. I got a great idea. Get me the yellow pages. We're going to look this up. We're going to find a fucking painter. We're going to paint me and you. We're all going to be there. You just got to be a special kind of crazy to commission that. Look at him with the fucking sweater and everything. I mean, that guy loves himself. That's a love that I'll never know. I'm sorry. I feel like I have a good amount of hate for myself. You know, I feel like that's a healthy thing for people to have. You love yourself too much. You're just gonna, I don't know. You're gonna be in too much trouble. But let's not lose focus on fucking Roseanne here, who's got her little hair in one of those, what do you call those things? Scarf? Is that a scarf or a bandana? And she's got the finest piece of jewelry that I think I can only assume she purchased off of the Home Shopping Network at 3:00 in the morning when she was hopped up on Ambien. I feel like this whole outfit was put together on Ambien. You know, she's probably like, I was drunk on Ambien when I chose this outfit, so I'm going to be drunk on Ambien when I fucking wear it around. And by the way, drop out of school, kids, because they're out to eat your children's blood. I love a good, we're going to drink your blood story. I mean, I'm there for it every time. You're talking crazy about people drinking kids' blood. I'm buying a ticket. I'm showing up. I just can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it. It's just such a wonderful, particular type of crazy that you just don't find anywhere else, you know? And for you Midwesterners out there, this is what it's like to ride the subway every day. Every day you got a Roseanne out there just going, email me and call me whatever you want, you know, but they're going to drink your blood. And you're like, I can't wait to transfer stations and get on the next train with the next crazy and see what they're doing. I hope it's another drunkard trying to find a fucking artist to paint them. She's just fucking wonderful. Dancing. Trump's DJing. I'm dancing. Email me or Twitter or call me. Call me whatever. But get out of school. They're taking your money. Drinking the children's blood. What did she say? Let's go back. What do you say? You want to take another swing at it? We'll go through again one more time.
I'm just going to say to you, please drop out of college because it's going to ruin your lives. Do me a favor. Drop out. They don't teach you nothing good. Email me or Twitter me or whatever you call me, and I'll help you with your life. But you got to get out of college because it isn't nothing but devil worshiping, baby blood drinking Democrat donors. Love ya.
I love the love ya at the end. Love ya. It's fucking great. It's fucking great. You know, a lot of people paid attention to O.J. Simpson. We never did. I never believed in putting O.J. Simpson on. I'll tell you who's another one. Frank's brother just got sucked down a rabbit hole for this one. Corey Feldman. I can't make fun of Corey Feldman. There's just certain things that I cannot do. I don't find funny or appealing. I never found OJ funny or interesting. I just always thought everybody's laughing along with this murderer. I don't get it. Corey Feldman is just sad to me. I'll never put Corey Feldman on this show, no matter how many times he's asked, and he has. I won't show his videos where he's being ridiculous. He was just on some fucking podcast talking about running for president, and I think it's sad. I just don't find those things amusing. But Roseanne, I find very amusing. The drunken Ann who can't get off of Ambien. I have to be honest with you. I do think it's very, very funny. It might run out one day. It might end clearly, but I do think it's funny. I do think she got sucked down the rabbit hole, though, of right versus left. And I wish the funny people would just get back to being funny. You know, I wish, because Roseanne is hilarious. And I wish she would just get back to being hilarious. You know, and there's nothing stopping her from that. Like, who's the other guy? Rob, fuck is his name? I had him on the old show. Schneider. Rob Schneider's another one. Guy's a funny dude, man. He's funny. He's not as funny as a lot of other people, but he's funny. Now this is like all he fucking talks about. The day they had they gender identified the Algerian boxer girl there. He was on it in 2 seconds, angry and upset and hurt and enraged. You know? And fucking, it's like, let's go back to making jokes again. You know, be there for jokes. Let's get back to jokes. You know, they don't teach you nothing good like English. They ain't not good at it. What did she say? And they're drinking blood. And they're turning the frogs gay. You know, however much crazy we could pack into a sentence. I'm just loving it. I'm just there for it, with Roseanne. By the way, you know who's a dick? Carrie Lake. I feel like she's one of the worst. Like, you put a list together, the people in government and politicians that I don't like. Gates is up there. Boebert's a real big dick. I do not love Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't really love AOC, but she's kind of hot. Boebert's hot too. She gets a couple more points back for that. But Carrie Lake is just a fucking asshole. I mean, she is just an asshole. There's not a redeeming quality in that young lady. I could go on further, and I do realize I named more Republicans. Jay Sabs will make fun of me for that. There's more Democrats I don't like too. None of them are coming to mind right now because I'm trying to think of more drunken ant lines. Trying to think of more. My aunt used to have those jugs of wine. You know, those jugs of wine. And she would roll through like 1 or 2 of them a day. A day. And I remember, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm probably going to get in trouble for telling you, but I'm here for you. I remember it was my first, I never understood it. And it was like my first, I was like 10. Like I said, I was looking at the painting. I was going, I don't think this is right. You know, I don't think people should be having paintings like this in their house. They're just getting drunk all day. But anyway, you want to hear a funny story about my crazy drunken aunt? We're down in Florida visiting my aunt, and my mother is hilarious. My dad's very fun. Like, I come from 2 very funny people. I mean, I'm funnier than them, obviously. But yeah, this isn't the Mike and Joanne on air podcast. Am I right? Anyway, my dad loves to just be a ball breaker. Like, he loves a good gag. He loves a bit. My dad loves a bit. So we're down in Florida. We're visiting. My aunt's half in the bag, you know, because it's 11:30 in the morning. So she's already practically gone. And we're just bullshitting and passing time. And, you know, I'm a kid, right? So they're like bringing out like all the board games and stuff. So we're playing checkers or whatever. And my aunt starts talking shit. And she's like, oh, I'm the best checker player ever. And so my dad, knowing how much wine she's had already in the day, goes, well, play me. I bet you I'll win. She goes, okay. So he sits down, they play, and boom, 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 boom. He fucking dominates. He's killing her. She's like, what the fuck? He's like, you want to go again? She's like, yeah. All right. Sets up the board. He sets up the board. Boom, 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 boom. Fucking kills her again in checkers. Dominating her checkers. She can't fucking figure it out. She doesn't know why she's such a good checker player and she's losing to my father immediately. Like, she's down right away. My father, the prick, on a checkerboard, you know, there's 2 rows of empty space on a checkerboard. He set up an entire extra row of checkers for himself. So as soon as she moves one piece out, he immediately jumped her, and he wipes the floor with her like 2 games in a row, and she cannot figure out what is going wrong, and it's because she's drunk. And he's just like, I'm gonna set up an extra row just to fuck with her. And I think he held this over her head for like weeks. I mean, he might have told her later that day, but in my mind, it was like weeks of her just walking around going, I can't believe I fucking lost all these games. Oh, shit. My dad loves a bit, man. That's a good bit. So if you ever get into a situation where you got a crazy drunkard going, I can kick your ass in checkers. Now you have a go-to move. So you could email or Twitter or whatever you call my dad if you need more advice on how to handle a crazy drunk person. All right, kids. That's it for me. What a fun episode. Lots of good stuff in there. You know, because you know what it was too? I don't know if this was this way in your family, but in my family and most of the families I knew, every checkerboard just got combined with Connect 4. Have you noticed that? Because it was the same pieces. So it was like, just put the checkerboard in the Connect 4 box and it'll be fine. If we're going to play checkers or Connect 4, they're in the same box. It's done. We can go to one spot. So there were always extra checkers. So it was easy for him to set up the extra row. Fucking wipe the floor with her. She might have gone to her grave and never known. I'm not entirely sure. I think he told her, but I'm not entirely sure. The point is, I'd love to get Roseanne and my dad in a checker match. I think that would be lightning in a bottle. Lightning in a bottle. You get her in a couple of these white wine spritzers with Ambien, right? You know, a couple of Ambiens and white wines, and my dad in there with a checkerboard, and we're good to go. We're good to go. Mark says, thanks for bringing all the smiles. You guys did that. Thanks to Lindarella for killing in this episode. Paul for the topics. Miss Justice. Bird. Mark. Everybody. Mercury. Everybody. TD. Everybody who was here, who keeps it all going. Will. I hope I named everybody. Christelle, I know I didn't. There's too many. There's a lot of good chat going on. Make sure you guys drop a comment after the show posts. Make sure you guys share the show all around. We appreciate that. That always helps us. And, of course, if you want to become a member, you can do so. Big shout out to my old buddy Phil for being a member for like 9 months. Old pal from the EHM days. I appreciate that, Philly. Thank you, guys.
Show me potato salad.
We'll see you Friday. How about that, huh?
Maybe we should go now.
Go ahead.